Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Hope you're well. Hope you've had a good week, and I'm glad to see you back. So thank you for coming back. It's Friday, so that means just one thing. It's Friday, so it means a video from me. Also, it means two things. It means it's the weekend, and that's the best part about the whole thing of Friday, isn't it? So it's a weekend, and unless you're working, case if you are, it's boop. But if you're not, and you're at home and you're chilling, you're doing your own thing, then it's all good. So anyway, today's video is all about Epping Forest, which is here in the UK, and I am not going to go into it right now, because if I do, you'll have nothing to listen to in a minute. Anyway, I digress. So how has your day been? What have you been up to? Have you been busy? I like to hear these things. It's interesting. I've been pretty much doing the norm. I can't really say much because I don't do anything really out of the ordinary. Although something funny happened today. I ordered some Jack Daniels from Amazon. It's a gift set, so it's not for me, although I do like Jack Daniels. And I ordered some today, and it arrived. I ordered some yesterday, and it arrived today, which is great. But the delivery driver asked me for ID. And I mean, I wasn't sure whether to be flattered or annoyed or what? How do I take that? Oh, it was quite funny. It was quite weird. It was quite odd. It's been a long time since I've been asked for ID for alcohol. So, yeah, it was probably quite nice, really. To be fair, not every day you get often, asked for ID for something like that when you get to my grand old age. So yeah, that was interesting. And yeah, what else have I been doing? Not a great deal. I've spent quite a lot of time threading, on threads. I'm quite enjoying it. So if you haven't joined, you should, because it's all right. I mean, it's like back in the days when Twitter was the first, come about, and it was good, and people just chatted. And now Twitter's just like a bot, and it just has adverts and nasty, horrible people on it wanting to argue, and I left Twitter a while back now because I can't be doing with people like that. I like kindness in my life. So yeah, threads, get on it if you're not on it, and look me up. You'll find me on there as Pause Plus Feet, because that is my other name other than Paranormal Trials. I use Pause Plus Feet, so you find me as that on Instagram as well. Anyway, let's stop wiffly waffling, and let's get on with the damn video. Why don't we? Let's do it. Epping Forest, Essex. Such a densely wooded forest is not a place you want to be lingering at night. The deep shadows hold unknown terrors, and the whispering trees speak of spirits among their branches. So, maybe Epping Forest is a place you don't want to hang around in after dark. Epping Forest stretches over 9 square miles. It's covered in thick trees that have not been cut in over 100 years due to the Epping Forest Act of 1878. Now, back in the 18th century, Epping Forest was a notoriously dangerous place. It was a hangout for highwaymen, thieves, murderers and criminals of all kinds. The most famous being Dick Turpin. As travellers passed through the woods on horseback or in a carriage, he would leap out at them from behind the trees and demand all of their valuables at gunpoint. Dick Turpin didn't stop at robbery either. He murdered at least one man in the Epping Forest, and for his crimes he was eventually hung in York in 1739. Now, his ghost, dressed in a long cloak with wide-brimmed hat, has been seen in the forest many times, leading walkers off their path into the depths of the undergrowth until they're completely lost. Turpin's victims cannot rest in peace either. Back in the 1920s, one terrified person claims that he was taking a journey through the forest with a friend, cycling along the track where they clearly heard the sound of horses and a carriage coming up from behind. As the noise of the carriage and the sound of the hooves got louder and louder, the men stopped to let them pass. But when they turned around, the sounds carried on, but nobody, no horses or carriages were there. In one part of the forest, Turpin made his base. It was called Loughton Camp. This creepy place has an even longer history and an even more violent one. It's here where the tribal queen Boadicea made her base for her army during the fight with the Romans in AD 60. She marched her soldiers into battle, but they were defeated and hacked down. Now many people think that spirits of her soldiers still linger here. There's a legend of a pure white stag that's been seen in the forest, and if you've seen it, it's supposedly an omen of death or trouble to those that see it. So let's hope that you never get out to see one while out and about in Epping. Epping New Road is where you may come across a headless biker, a horseless carriage, grey figures or black shadow people. They are known to be seen along Epping New Road between the Robin Hood and the Wakes Arms public houses. Monkswood is a place of the part in the forest that is once owned by Stratford Longthorn Abbey. It's one of the most oldest parts of the forest, and like any other historic place, it has its legends. One being of a monk and a lady Estelle. She was murdered by monk Wilfrid. He was so struck by her beauty, and he believed he was in love with her, and she was with him. In a fit of rage, though, he murdered her and hid her body under an old tree. Generations later, an Ada of Enver was residing in Loughton Hall and was walking one evening in Monkswood, and she passed a monk who held his head down, and it was covered by his habit. She spoke to him, and when he looked up to speak to her, his face was not of the living. Being pure in virtue and of the same line as the murdered Lady Estelle, the monk then haunted her in her sleep, and along with Lady Estelle, they asked for her forgiveness so that they can rest in peace. Ada gets help from Dan John, and they go to the tree at midnight on the eve of St. John, where Hecate's gate is opened, and they see things that they would never have thought possible, and the devil attempts to drag them to hell. She forgives monk Wilfrid of his sins. Two spirits appear days later to thank her for releasing them, and they are free now to spend their eternity together. On a slip road at High Beach, a strange phenomenon occurs. If you park your car at the bottom of the hill at night, turn off the engine, the car can then be seen to roll slowly uphill. Legend has it that if the car is being pulled towards an ancient tree by the hangman's noose. The tree is believed to be a site of a hanging of 3 witches. Those 3 women are supposed to be seen along Hangman's Hill at night, and they vanish into the forest. This area is just known as Hangman's Hill. Another area known in Epping Forest is the pond, known as Suicide Pond. Now, way over 300 years ago, a young couple had a dangerous forbidden romance, meeting secretly at the pond deep in the forest. The girl's father found out and killed the girl at the pond in a fit of rage. Then when the man found out about his lover's murder, he committed suicide at the same spot on the pond. After all this, no birds or animals were ever heard or seen there, and the water turned black. 8 other people, including 3 children, committed suicide there over a number of years. It's now said that the suicide pond is deep in the forest, far away from any roads, and it's evil and has a very unpleasant atmosphere. So, Epping Forest is a good place to make things disappear and to dump a body or 2. More than a dozen murder victims have been found in their forest since 1960s. The most recent was in 2015. One of the most strangest murders was of Patricia Parsons in 1990. She ran a local massage parlour. She apparently had a little black book of clients and was going to sell the details to a newspaper. So clearly more than a massage was going on here. It's believed that a contract was placed on her head and she was found dead in her car with a bolt from a crossbow through her head. The murder remains unsolved. And there was a hitman-style execution of an accountant named Terence Gooderham and his girlfriend Maxine Arnold in the forest in 1989. Gooderham was believed to have worked for the Clerkenwell crime syndicate laundering money, and he extorted £250,000 for himself. Nobody's ever been convicted of these murders, but a man described as Britain's most notorious hitman, James Moody, was believed to be the trigger man. So, if you're ever in or about in Essex and you fancy a trip to the forest, make sure you go and see if you can find the pond and other places I've mentioned. I hope you enjoyed today, and I hope you found things just as interesting as I found researching them. Now get yourself down to Epping Forest before it's too late. Now then, what did you think? Did you enjoy it? I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found stuff out. As I always say, it's always good to find out stuff that you didn't already know. Obviously, a lot of the stuff that I find out as I do research, and through my research, I found out all of this amazing stuff that I can share with you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've not been put off by going to Epping Forest if you're nearby, because if I was closer I'd go there because it sounds cool, and I like forests. There is one I go to close to me actually, which possibly could be haunted. I mean, there's two. The one that I've spoken about previously, which is definitely haunted because you hear people running up behind you, and then the other one I've been to a few times, but normally earphones are in, podcast on, or something I'm listening to. So I need to go one day, no earphones, and just wander and see if I hear or see anything. Anyway, yeah, because I think like all places like that, I think they're all pretty much got to be haunted, haven't they? Because they're like centuries old, man. Anyway, yeah, I can't what I was going to say now. So noise just out there just put me off. So don't know what that was. If you heard that, sorry about that. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Thank you for sticking with me through thick and thin, and through video to video, and obviously podcast to podcast if you're listening on my podcast, because I can't forget that, because I do forget that a lot. I often say, because obviously if you're watching me, you're on YouTube, and if you're just listening to me, you're on the podcast, and I often forget. So apologies if you are listening on the podcast and you feel like I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to you all. In the meantime, let's wrap this thing up and have yourself a fabulous Friday. I will see you again next week if I don't see you before. Like I say, I do post every now and again. I put little sort of shorts on of me and my dog walks and stuff, and I hope you enjoy them. I think I get quite a lot of views on those as well. I had one, I did the one for the heron. He was fishing for his breakfast, and that had like 1.5k views or something mad on it. So if you are watching them and you are enjoying them, I'm glad. So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to shut up because I'm waffling on, and I'll see you next week. Have yourself a fabulous weekend. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. See you later. Bye bye.